Welcome to the Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee for today, May 19th. I've been joined by Council Members Quincy, Fry, and Reich. I will just note Councilmember Kano has strep throat and Councilmember Orsami has an ear infection. So I'd say stay away from us as a group if you don't want to get sick. That's why they're not here, but 4 is a quorum of our committee today. And so we are going to start our agenda with I always get really sad and almost cry when this kind of thing happens with a presentation honoring Rich Tufts, who's worked with us and for the public for almost 30 years. So Rich, Councilmember Fry is going to present this resolution. If you would sadly step forward. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So one of the first things that I recognized when I started working for the city of Minneapolis was the scope and the size of the enterprise. I often joke, but in all seriousness, that all the council members and the mayor could die tomorrow and the city would be just fine because we have a ton of extraordinary people who are working here with loads of experience, 30 years worth of experience. I don't want to tell you where I was 30 years ago. I was barely here. This is right. But, a lot of these jobs go without a lot of credit and recognition. A lot of them are you're either working under the ground, quite literally, or you're working on top of it, getting yelled at routinely by people. But in the process, you are a dramatic, huge assistance to the city at large. And I cannot tell you how much we appreciate your 30 years worth of work. So without further ado, I would present this resolution honoring Richard Tufts for 29 years of service to the city of Minneapolis. Whereas Rich Tufts was hired by the Minneapolis City Clerk's office on July 7th, 1986 as the city's forms manager. And whereas Rich worked for the Community Crime Prevention Safe Division of the Minneapolis Police Department and a CCP specialist and then promoted to supervisor. And whereas Rich worked for the Division of Licenses and Consumer Services as a license inspector and subsequently promoted to lead license inspector. And whereas Inspector Tufts worked fanatically to hold all mobile license holders accountable to the city's regulatory standards, including taxi drivers, tow truck companies, ice cream trucks, pedal cars, and now pedicabs, to just name a few. And whereas over the years, Rich received hundreds of compliments and complaints, both equally indicative of his uncompromising work ethic. And whereas Rich utilized the skills, knowledge, and experience he gained from his decorated military career beginning at age 17, when he spent 13 months in Vietnam as a corporal in the United States Marines, his 26 years in the Army service as first sergeant, and his 1990 to 91 tour in Iraq in the first Gulf War. And whereas Rich, after 29 years of dedicated service to the city of Minneapolis, has decided to sell his house, leave the majority of his possessions and friends behind, and relocate to Florida to be closer to his children and 11 grandchildren. And whereas Rich will continue to pursue his passions, which, in addition to hunting and fishing, include his wife Cindy, his family, and his country. And whereas, although the chronic violators may be overjoyed to see him retire, he will be sorely missed by all his colleagues and coworkers who share a deep-found respect for him. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Minneapolis that the City of Minneapolis Council does hereby present this honorary resolution in recognition of their sincere gratitude and appreciation for the many contributions and devoted service made by Richard J. Tufts for the past 29 years of service to the City of Minneapolis. Be it further resolved that Rich's hard work and dedication have improved the lives of many citizens of Minneapolis, and that the members of the City Council wish Rich and Cindy all the best. Thank you so much.
It's really been a privilege to be here all these years. I'm kind of one of these guys that really doesn't like government much. And my whole life, You know, I had 20-some years in the military and 30 years here, just about, all government. But it's really been an honor working here. I think one of the most important things for me was that in licensing, we're the last resort for a lot of people. They're dealing with a lot of issues and problems that they have, and they call us. And we have to have the answers and get out and help them. And it really feels good when you get out and do that. I helped one time, just one incident real quick, there was a bus that was parked northeast Minneapolis. They've been trying to get rid of it for a year. And then somehow somebody finally said, let's see what Rich can do. I went out there, went through the ordinance, and I found enough loopholes where the guy couldn't put the bus there. Went out and was placarding the bus, and the guy came out, and I said, if this bus is here in 72 hours, I'm towing it. And he moved the bus, got the bus out of there, and they sent me a $25 gift card to the coffee shop, which of course I sent back and said I couldn't take anything. And they were just ecstatic that I got that bus out of there, and they've been trying to do it for a year. So it was always an honor and a privilege to work for the people when they come to us as the last resort. Can you help me with this problem? And I always gave it my all, and as did my colleagues. So it was a great place to work, and it's fun. So thanks.
Thank you. So we've got the resolution here, as well as a beautiful plaque, trophy, glass memorabilia item.
Well, I wanted this more than the statue.
Yeah.
The Father of Water. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
We'll move on to the remainder of our agenda, starting with the consent agenda, which is items number 10 through 23. Item number 10 is granting licenses recommended for approval. Item 11 is the liquor license for the Norway House. Item 12 is a land sale resolution for some property at the Grain Belt redevelopment plan. Item 13 are approving changes to our low-income housing tax credit procedural manual and QAP. Item 14 is the Minnesota Housing Community Impact Funds. Item 15 is applying for a grant with deed. Item 16 is authorizing an application to the Met Council. Item 17 is awarding exclusive development rights to Fighting Chance for Fire Station 14. Item 18 is authorizing staff to execute a contract for an owner's representative for Downtown East. Item 19 is bids for cutting grass, weeds, bushes, and branches. 11 is a rental dwelling license condition, and items 21, 22, and 23 are being referred to staff for further work. Are there any items anyone would like to pull off of the agenda, items 10 through 23? Seeing none, I'll move approval. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Those items are approved. We'll then move on to item number 2, which is a land sale at 2321 Fillmore Street Northeast. Mr. Pettiford, welcome.
Madam Chair, good afternoon. 2321 Fillmore Street is a buildable parcel in the Wyndham Park neighborhood. We received 2 offers, both full price at $19,800. One of the proposers was Accent Homes, and they proposed a number of times on parcels and successfully developed those parcels. They're proposing to build a 2-story single-family house featuring 1,831 square feet of finished living space, the full basement, a 2-car garage. The home will have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and be marketed for $330,000, and that's the list price. Sales prices have been much higher. The second proposer was Schaefer Hartman. He also proposes to build a 2-story featuring 1,144 square feet, also with the full basement and 2-car detached garage, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and will have a value of approximately $250,000. The Wyndham Park neighborhood reviewed both proposals, and they are recommending the Accent Homes proposal. They felt that that was in keeping with the style of the architecture in the block. They liked that it was a larger house. They were comfortable with the sales price. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for Mr. Pettiford on item number 2? Seeing none, thank you for your report. This is a public hearing land sale on item number 2, 2321 Fillmore Street Northeast. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move approval of this item.
Approval of item number 2 has been moved. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Those items are approved. I'll note that item number 3 is going to be postponed, but because of the fact that there is a public hearing announcement, we'll see if anyone's here to speak to item number 3. Is there anyone here to speak to item number 3? You are welcome to do so today. Anyone? Seeing none, I'm going to postpone item number 3 one cycle, which will give the various interested parties and authors an opportunity to further discuss this item. On the motion to keep in committee or postpone one cycle, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is postponed. We'll then be moving on to item number 4. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item relates to changes made to the omnibus liquor bill, changes to the state liquor code, in other words, that the 2015 Minnesota legislature just approved and have been signed by the governor, and they affect our brewing and distillery industry in Minneapolis. The first section of the amendment would allow off-sale distilled spirits to be sold at our micro distilleries in an off-sale fashion. Right now, they cannot do that. They would be allowed to sell off-sale distilled spirits at the same days and hours of the week that our off-sale liquor stores are open, so it does not include Sunday sales. The recommended license fee for this to be put in the fee schedule is $1,500, which is the same as all off-sale alcohol licenses in our city right now. The second section of it, this amendment will allow our breweries that sell off-sale malt liquor that they produce, commonly referred to as growlers. This will allow them to sell these growlers in an off-sale fashion on Sundays. This will affect our 15 tap rooms, our 6 brew pubs, and 4 of our current micro distilleries. We did a public hearing notice of this, these 2 amendments, and we notified all on-sale liquor establishments, off-sale liquor establishments, our business associations and neighborhood associations. We received 1 response in support of both amendments, and that's from the Craft Brewers Guild of Minnesota. Staff recommends approval of this amendment.
Okay, Mr. Wilson, are we the first municipality to be able to take up local approval of this issue?
Madam Chair, I believe we are, because we had these introduced and getting queued up about a month before they were approved by the legislature.
Great. Are there any other questions for Mr. Wilson? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 4, which is allowing Sunday growler sales and micro distillery sales. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Ma'am, I'm Brian Winter. I'm the owner of Wander North Distillery, which is 771 Harding, and I'm also a resident of Minneapolis. As mentioned, I own a micro distillery here, and we really feel it starts boiling down to an equality issue. So with breweries and wineries able to sell their own products on premise, this is a very viable income stream for us. Additionally, as I was counting up back of the napkin money, it was about $1,000 a month sales tax additionally for the city. So I think it's beneficial for everybody. We'll be following the same protocols. So any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here today. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hello, I'm Sarah Bomboy. I am co-owner of Dangerous Man Brewing Company in Northeast, and we really would look forward to your approval of Sunday sales growlers. That would have a major effect on our business.
Great, thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Reich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move approval and make the comment that this is very absolutely consistent with what the state had put in place. And just for the public record, it is noted that we were first, and Minneapolis is always out there to support our small businesses and entrepreneurial spirit.
Well, in the
despite
liquor industry, for sure.
Yeah. So anyways, for those who say otherwise, here's a good example if that's not the case.
Councilmember Reich. I'm Fry, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I just want to say that both of the two speakers hold a special place in my heart. I know working first with Brian, even back to the days of my campaign, I remember Mr. Winter had what we thought at the time was almost a pipe dream of opening up this distillery. And it wasn't just a small, mediocre distillery. I mean, this was full bore. And he, at the time, was even distilling these cherry things. They were delicious. But, you know, it's wonderful to see some people who have a dream, who follow through, who execute a business plan, and then it becomes profitable and successful. And without a doubt, Mr. Winter, you're on your way. So I'm just so proud of you. And then Sarah and Dangerous Man, of course, holds a really special place in my heart as well. It's the only time in my entire life where I will ever have a beer named after me, even if it was only for a day. And I feel like that was the height of my cool, and it's all downhill from that day. But it's a wonderful proposal. Thank you, Councilmember Reich, for bringing it forward, and I hope you guys are very, very successful going into the future.
On Councilmember Reich's motion to approve, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That is unanimously approved, and we'll move on to item number 5. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item is also an alcohol-related amendment that was created by the 2015 Minnesota, an opportunity was created from the 2015 Minnesota legislature. This amendment was known by the legislature as the Bloody Mary Bill, and will allow Sunday alcohol sales to start at 8 a.m. rather than 10 a.m. That is the only change that this affects. And so Sunday alcohol sales may start for those places that have food service at 8 a.m. rather than 10, should this be approved. Staff recommendation is to approve. We did all of these ordinances notification at the same time to the same alcohol places. In this case, we received no responses for or against this amendment. And that concludes my report.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 5? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 5, which is allowing restaurants, clubs, bowling alleys, and hotels with an on-sale liquor license to sell or serve liquor starting at 8 a.m. on Sundays. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also move approval of this item.
Item number 5 has been moved for approval. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 6, which is an expansion of premise for Fujiya. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fujiya at 600 West Lake Street is doing a permanent expansion of premises to their outdoor patio. They're adding 12 two-top tables for a total of 24 seats. They have operated with an outside patio for many years without problems. We did the common 300-foot notice to all neighbors, property owners, and neighborhood associations. We received no responses. Staff recommends approval.
Are there any questions for staff on item number 6? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 6, which is an expansion of premise for Fujiya. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of this item as recommended.
Approval has been moved. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 7, which is an expansion of premise for Giacchino's Pizza and Pasta. Mr. Wilson.
Madam Chair, Giacchino's Pizza and Pasta is a restaurant that's operated at 3555 Chicago for several years. They are adding a sidewalk cafe in addition to an existing outdoor patio that they have. Our Public Works Department has reviewed the sidewalk plan, and it meets all of the minimum requirements. We mailed to all residents and property owners within 300 feet. We received one, and the neighborhood associations. We received one response, and that was in support. They meet all of our minimum requirements, and staff recommends approval.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 7? Seeing none, this is a public hearing on item number 7, which is an expansion of premise for Giacchino's Pizza and Pasta. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Oh, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Please do.
Patty Keegan from Giacchino's, and I just want to thank you for taking it into consideration. So
I wish you were still at let's see,
15th
15th
and
and
LaSalle.
LaSalle, where I used to live, yeah.
we only spread ourselves so thin.
Oh, yeah, you guys are great.
So,
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and move approval. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item is approved. Thank you for coming down today. We'll then move on to item number 8, Pizza Studio, which is a new license. Mr. Wilson.
Madam Chair, we have an application by the Pizza Studio, which is located at 1415 4th Street Southeast in Dinkytown. They're asking for an extended hours license at that location, and they are currently allowed hours till 10 p.m. during the week and 11 on Friday and Saturday as their closing time. They would like to stay open until midnight, only on Thursdays, and on Friday and Saturday, they would like to stay open till 3 a.m. We've done our public hearing notice to all property owners within 300 feet, and we also notified the Marcy Homes Neighborhood Association and the Dinkytown Business Association. The Pizza Studio has met with the 2nd Precinct Command. They've looked over the security plan. That security plan has been approved. They've got queue line situations organized to handle the crowd should they come in extreme rates. The public hearing notice, we received no responses for or against the application. Staff is recommending that this application be approved.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 8? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 8, which is a new license for Pizza Studio. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of item number 8.
Approval of item number 8 has been moved. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to our remaining item, which is item number 9. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have an application for an on-sale liquor class C1 with a cocktail room and off-sale distilled spirits license. This is by Tattersall Distilling Company at 1620 Central Northeast. So this will be our 2nd microdistillery cocktail room and actually our first off-sale distilled spirits license that we just held a public hearing with a little while ago. We have reviewed the site of this. The zoning administrator approves the site. It's in the correct spot. The building department has reviewed all of the items they need to have a safe building for their cocktail room. They will have seating inside for 92, seating outside for 76. They will have starting up hours as 4 p.m. to 11 Wednesday to Thursday, till midnight on Friday and Saturday, and noon to midnight on Sunday. Principal owners are Jon Cryer and Daniel Oski, and there are multiple minority partners in this business as well. The manager will be Jon Cryer. The 2nd Precinct of the Minneapolis Police Department has discussed the security issues with the applicant. We did our public hearing notice for this application, and as of today's date, we have received no responses. Staff's recommendation is to approve.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 9? Seeing none, I'll open the public hearing on item number 9, which is a new business license for Tattersall Distilling Company. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Jon Cryer. I'm one of the co-owners of Tattersall, and just like to say thank you all for the support, especially Councilman Reich, and we're very excited to be a part of the community.
Oh, congratulations. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being here today. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Reich.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the staff recommendation.
Approval of item number 9 has been moved. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. Seeing no further business before us, we are adjourned.